Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Strand Tennis Center podcast, filled with tips, advice, tennis, not tennis, just life advice too, whatever you need. Like it on YouTube, share it on the podcast as well. Thank you. All right, everybody, welcome to the Strand Tennis Center podcast. We were just discussing time zone, George, because I've realized I'm getting stupider as I'm older. Caroline McGinley's here. She goes to SMU, and she's got her flight tomorrow to go back. And I was like, well, the time changes. She goes, it's only an hour. I was like, Dallas is 2, isn't it? No, I live there, and I was totally wrong. I just assumed the whole state was Central Time, George. I'm learning new things from McGinley. Did you know? No, I didn't know. I was like, I'm just perplexed by this, Caroline. I don't know what to do with
I'm sorry.
My life doesn't make any more sense. I've lost all my dreams and hopes of Texas. I've lost it all.
So sorry.
Holy shit. So, how are you? How's your summer going? Big question about summertime. Do you feel like... I was just talking to Hillary, head coach at Rutgers. She said the big difference is summertime with whether these players get better. Do you think you've gotten better this summer?
I do. I think a lot of kids see the summer, I mean, I do too, but as like a break from the reality of the school year. And it's like kind of hard sometimes to have that motivation to actually get yourself to come out here and hit with steam over here.
Yeah, lucky me.
But yeah, I definitely do. I think I changed some things about my game. Like we talked about it yesterday, started stepping in more. And I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that, like as the summer's progressed. So at least I have like a really solid foundation of that going into the fall.
Yeah, I think it's just like life. If you when people aren't working and you're working, you're going to get ahead. It's just about reps. They did a study, and I talked to a business school this summer, all freshmen coming in and some 18-year-olds, and they were like, it's awkward when I talk to business schools because I tell them, like, listen, I think entrepreneurial schools are a waste of money and all this stuff, and I'm in this school because it's just reps.
Yeah.
So I remember Stan the Man was getting interviewed, Stan Wawrinka, obviously. Great player. They were like, can you tell us the keys to the backhand? He said, all right, here's the backhand. Now just do that 1,000 times a day. Mm-hmm. So there's really no mystery to it. It's about reps. The most successful business people just start sooner. They start when they're 16. They start selling things. They have paper routes and things. You just start practicing sooner. You start your ideas sooner, and you just keep on doing it and keep on doing it and keep on doing it. Do you get? And everybody knows this. You just said it. It sucks to train. It is not like you don't wake up and go, oh, I love this. Well, you can love the sport. It's the only reason that keeps you to get up from doing it. Because if you didn't like the sport, you would have quit a long time ago. So loving the sport gives you the advantage just to be able to get out there. Don't hit me in the head. Oh, that was close. Nice shot,
He
Abdullah.
made it.
You see that? This is a live show, George. I almost got rocked in the head by Abdullah. So the reps are key. You have to do it. Did you, can you tell a difference? Was last summer different than this summer? Do you feel like, I made more progress? Or you just do you feel sometimes, tennis is such a weird sport, sometimes you just feel lost all the time. How do you feel from last summer to this summer? Can you compare anything? You're just like, I don't know.
Well, last summer was interesting with like the recruiting stuff.
Yeah.
So last year was so stressful. Like
Sure.
It was like not even summer. Like it wasn't a break.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything special. I was so stressed the whole time about recruiting changes and everything like that. So this summer, definitely a bit more relaxing.
Okay.
Which is good. And then I also think last summer, like I was still a junior player. So I was still at the academy and I was training like 4 hours a day, like the whole summer, which was no different than what I was used to. But now I'm like, okay, yeah, like 90 minutes, like that's good. Like if I can do a solid 90 minutes, that's better than me hitting for 4 hours with like groups or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think last summer definitely paid a toll on the rest of my school year. Like I think last summer was so exhausting that by the time it was like February, March, like I was burnt out.
Because you were training all that summer before.
So I think now to have like a little bit of like a break, even though I'm still training every day, it's made a difference.
So backstory, Caroline went to Smith Stern, an academy. She had committed to Clemson, then transferred to SMU before, not even transferred, but just they changed coaches, excuse me, and then she decided to commit to SMU. She could go early. We were supposed to go in January of 24 or 25, and then she ended up going to SMU earlier. Impressions of the first season. How did college life, the whole thing, this adjustment, how did that go?
It was good. I had a really good fall. Like, my first fall tournament, I went undefeated just because I was, like, so excited to be a part of that environment and, like, finally be a part of a team after it's still an individual sport, but, like, it's the first time you're a part of, like, a team within an individual sport. So I had a really good fall. And then, like, tennis-wise, struggled a bit in the spring. But, I mean, the atmosphere is something that, like, I've dreamed of since I was, like, 6 years old. Like, I've always wanted to be a part of it. So being able to be a part of it, I would say is pretty special.
Give me an idea, SMU's facilities. Do you feel like, I mean, do you have everything? Is it like everything you need? Is it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, our facilities are beautiful.
Almost got you, but go ahead.
Our facilities are beautiful. We have, like, our tennis building is 6 outdoor, and then it's, like, connected to the 6 indoor. And then we have our own gym, like, in the tennis facility.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, like, we don't have to share the gym with, like, the footballers or whoever shares the other gym, which is good. So I think that's everything. Like, we have our own training room within the facility, own gym, like, pretty much everything you could possibly need. It's so nice. Everything's in that little area.
See, that's the problem that we were talking about. Other Division I schools, there's the competition. How's your facility? What can you offer the student? What do you think about this? We were talking to one of the coaches, we were talking to Hillary here about likeness, money, all of these things. Have you found yourself? Do you sell yourself? Like, what do you do? Like, and she was saying there's an allocation of $22 million per school. I don't know how that's divvied up. I don't know if it's just Division I. I'm not really sure about all of this. I don't know the details, but is it going to just be all for football? Is it going to be all for this? Have you gotten any? Do you find yourself having to self-promote now? Do you find yourself going, well, do I eventually need an agent to, like, I mean, how do you think about all this?
I mean, there's all the NIL deals and stuff like that, which, like, last year I didn't really do anything like that because I was living in the dorm and, like, I don't know, it's just always kind of hard. Yeah. But now that I'm living in an apartment, like, I think about it because it's like a good way to get some money and, like, put your name out there, even if it's just, like, little brands. Like, there's things I've reached out to, like Honey Stinger waffles. I don't know if you know what those are, but, like, things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely would now that it's, like, easier and I have my own space to, like, create things and do what I want. But
what about just the immediate? I know you get free stuff with rackets and stuff. Do you figure out, like, hey, do I reach out to one of these people? I know the school gets you a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But do you go, hey, do you go to your coach? You go to somebody, can they allocate any money for me to, I don't know. But then we were discussing, this is a separate question. Once they allocate this money, could you get a performance bonus? Could kids get signing bonuses, right? If they allocate a certain amount of money and you have a great year, you could get a bonus via money. And then are you employed then with the school? Do you get insurance? Do you get all these things? There's so many different avenues this could go.
Yeah.
I think you should get, like, some sort of agency that just puts your name out there. What's the difference? To say, if you make money, I make money. What's the point?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, you go from, like, junior tennis, which is paying coaches to work with you, and then, like, in my case, like, I'm on, like, a full ride at SMU, so it's like I'm almost getting paid to do something. So it's like the role changes, which, like, I like it. Like, I like the pressure of it, so I don't mind, but it's definitely different.
So you feel the pressure in the sense of you saying, I don't want to lose my scholarship pressure?
No. It's more of just, like,
just pressure
performance
on yourself.
And like, you want to perform for something that you're getting so much from.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You're humble. You feel like you should. Now, transfer-wise, all of these things, how many new people are coming in? How many are transfers? How many are freshmen in your team?
So we had 9 girls on our team last year, and we lost 6 of them.
Wow.
So we had a really old team. We had a bunch of
seniors,
a bunch of seniors, 5th years, and then we had 1 6th year. So really old team. So it was definitely interesting because when I walked onto the team last year as a freshman, it was all built. Like
Okay.
the atmosphere was built, like everything was just there and already formed. But obviously losing 6 girls, we have 5 girls coming in this year. So we'll have a team of 8. We have 4 girls coming in August, so next week. And then we have 1 girl coming in January. So we have 3 freshmen, 1, I guess she'd technically be a senior, but she graduated her previous school in 3 years. So she's getting her master's degree.
Very
but
smart.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other girl's a transfer from A&M, and she's going to be a redshirt senior.
Ay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I'm kind of confused.
Oh, off the head, off the ear. Thanks, Ryan. That'll wake you up. That's going to be a nice recording. Anyways, so I'm having trouble remembering what I was going to say. Come on, Afiz, control the ball. Anyways, my ear's going to be red. George, just get a clip of that. Was that a winner? As long as it was a winner, I'll take it in my head. But do you feel now they lost 6 players? Are you feeling like, well, I played 6 last year. I should be. Do you have an expectation to say, listen, I should be 3, I should be 2, I should be? Or no, are you just going to take it, you don't want to have that much expectation?
I don't think I have an expectation of playing like much higher in the lineup.
Okay.
But like I expect to play. I mean, even if like I hope I can move up to 4 or 5. I don't really want to be 6 again. I feel like that kind of sucked given I was 6 for a whole year, but you know what I mean. Like,
I get it.
I would like to move up at least a little.
So the remaining, so you lost 6, there's 4 left. The remaining other ones are older than you, obviously? The remaining 2 or 3?
The remaining 2, so it's me and 2 others, and then one of them's my year, so rising sophomore, and then the other one's a senior.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out now the new players. Have you met any of these people?
On visits, yeah.
Okay.
I know 2 of the 3 incoming freshmen I knew from junior tennis, so
Okay.
and then the girl transferring from A&M, I know her, but
It's like a small world.
yeah. But
So I'm just getting to the question of culture, right? Did you guys all get along last year?
yeah, my team last year, like we were all best friends. Like we did everything together, and like it was never boring or never like not
that's nice.
fun. Yeah.
And motivation-wise, is everybody self-motivated, or being that you're friends, you don't need the coach to motivate you? Do you guys get on each other if you tell like somebody's being lazy, or can you talk to each other like that?
Yeah, I think everyone was very motivated themselves. Like there were very few times where there was like an odd one out in a practice. And if that was the case, the older girls we don't really do captains, but she was like the captain kind of. Like she would stand out in front of us and be like, you need to get it together because you cannot show up like that again tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Which is good because personally I'd rather hear that from a teammate than from a coach.
Sure.
But
So how do you deal with a situation, say in your life of playing, you start to trust yourself and know how you play.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any time a situation where you're just like, you know what, this is a really hard thing? Because tennis, that was close too. I was gonna run somebody over. Tennis is a hard thing because it's an individual sport. Ryan, you're gonna hit me and you're gonna run into the guests. Jeez, Hafiz, this kid's out of control.
okay.
Anyways, but it's such an individual sport. You know your game. You have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very hard for a coach to say, listen, you should be doing this instead of that when you've been playing forever. Because when you're a private student, if you don't agree with the coach, you get rid of the coach. You just say, listen, mom, dad, or whatever, this coach doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So now you're in a situation where you're part of a team. How do you navigate that new situation? You're a freshman, you come in, you can transfer, sure. I mean, it's easier now, but you can't just get rid of the coach. How do you handle that dynamic? You don't have a private coach, you're part of a team now, and you go, well, maybe I don't agree with this person. How do I handle it? Have you ever gotten to how do you feel? I mean, you don't have to go into details about specific coaches now. I'm just talking about in general. Have you had a coach when you were a kid that you were like, listen, Mom, Dad, this coach is not working well for me? How many coaches do you think you've gone through because they didn't work well? Usually, this is a long question, but every kid usually plays everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's not even like, you can't say like, I coach this kid. Never happens. The kid is coached by 1,000 different people that come to the club.
Mm-hmm.
But has there ever been a situation where like, Caroline, I want you to take private lessons with this person? You're like, well, you know what? This is just not working. Or how many times does it just click?
Yeah, I'd say there's only been maybe like a few circumstances where that's happened.
Yeah.
But when I went down to Hilton Head, when I first got there, I started taking lessons from one coach, and then like clinics started and I really liked this other coach. So then at one point I was taking like one lesson from each coach each week. And sometimes like they would tell me things that just didn't work together. And I was like, well, I don't really know, like whatever. So it turns out I worked better with the second coach. So then I started working with the second coach primarily. And I was doing like 3 lessons with him the whole week for the 3 years that I was there.
So how did that dynamic, we'll get specific, did the other coach get pissed? Was it something, or did he just like, it's part of the deal?
I don't think he was like thrilled with me, but I also think like, I said to him, I was like, I just feel like I get along. Like it's almost like the second coach, when he would talk to me, it was just like the way he would explain things just like made more sense to me. So
that's a good point. I mean, coaching, it's not necessarily that, again, they're going to all of a sudden give you, that wasn't going to hit you in the head, so it's fine. Abdullah, this is how well we've been coaching. The balls are flying everywhere. See our coaching skills, George? Anyways, come on, Abdullah. Yeah. So, but with coaching, that's the thing. They're not going to like, well, who knows with our coaching. They're not going to like give you like all of a sudden the greatest game in a week.
Yeah.
It's how they talk to you, their cadence and things like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but coaches get very sensitive and they take things very personally.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to, because coaches sometimes are going, they see a student, they go, oh, this student's very good. Maybe they could be so good, it'll give me a name and blah, blah, blah. And it's hard to know the difference as a student to whether the coach really cares about you and doesn't care about like Patrick Montague. To me, like obviously he was Serena's coach. To me, he's a great marketer. He's a salesman. Mm-hmm. I don't consider him, I guess I'm going to get crap for this. I don't consider him a guy that really cares about the player.
Yeah.
He's just there to market his academy because, we went to Indian Wells, to be quite honest with you. I was staying at the hotel, and he was coaching Holger Rune at the time. I shouldn't be saying this, but I go out in the back, and he's teaching a woman a lesson at the back of the hotel. She's paying him. He's recording the whole thing. I'm like, what does he make, an extra $500? What does he make, $1,000 here? What is he doing?
Yeah.
He's coaching Holger Rune in Indian Wells. Why is he teaching this woman at 9 a.m? What's going on? So that's what bothers me about a lot of these coaches, because they're more concerned with what you can do for them instead of what you can do for yourself. In your experience, have you felt that a lot, or do you feel it like overall, let's say 10 coaches, how many you feel like, this guy just wants me here because of the name and that's it? How many you feel really want you to improve and they don't care how you do it? Give me your feeling, your experience of that, because that's an interesting thing.
A good amount. I'd say when I was younger, it was like looking back at it seems like a lot, because I was like, I don't know, not to like be annoying, but like when I was like 8, 9 years old, like I was really good at the time, and like people
She's not
like
annoying. She
noticed.
was good.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to be like, like I was
No,
insane at 9 years old. Like
Caroline was a great player.
Like when I was
would go
really
to these,
young though.
She went to Camp Place High School and go to these matches. And freshman, she was in the state finals as a freshman, right?
Yeah.
State finals as a freshman. Blah blah blah. And on the recent Amazon thing, what's her name was on the Amazon documentary, right? Who you played the final?
Steffi.
Can't remember. Yeah. So very great player. I'm sure everybody with a card and a name was trying to get her to be their student. But go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, but I feel like when you're younger, it's just like a coach sees this young player, and I was like a bubbly little girl who just like loved the sport, and people were like, oh, I think she can go a very long way with this. And not that it was like taken advantage of or anything, but like looking back at it, there was definitely people being like, oh, like you should get her a private coach or you should do this or whatever it was. And I'm like, no, like, I don't really want to do that. But I think as you get older, that changes a little bit. I think if a coach genuinely cares about you, if they care about like your well-being. Like, it's not just your tennis. Like, my coach in Hilton Head, like, cared if I was okay. Yeah. Like, before, like, I mean, obviously
as a person,
he cared a lot about my tennis, but
sure.
like, he would be like, oh, like, how are you? Want to know about my life? Like, things were going well or not,
sure.
which is nice. Like, I think that's so important in a relationship with a coach, because then it's not just like, oh, you're not hitting your forehand right. And then it's like becomes this relationship where you're constantly butting heads and just like stressed out all the time about a sport. And it's like, you don't want that.
Yeah. Because a lot of times you're training and then you're sitting for a few minutes. You can't, like, you got to have downtime mentally. You can't.
I agree.
You can't be stressing out the player all the time. There's plenty of time for that. They'll stress themselves out enough by themselves
of that. They don't need
by
it.
playing a match and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it was always interesting. We kind of went off topic there, but I'm interesting in that coaching dynamic and how the player feels about it, and the coach and on the other side of the coach, there's plenty of good coaches that are on tour. They've got to deal with a player because that player feels like they work for them, and then they got to deal with a lot of shit too. So it goes both ways. You see these coaches coaching in the box, and they got to pump them up every single time because the player's like, you're here for me, and that's a hard balance too. And then you got to be worried if they don't win 4 matches in a row, am I going to get fired? And it's a really hard situation to be a coach on tour if you're not Darren Cahill, if you're not somebody that's already got a name, and it really doesn't matter. But it's an interesting thing. But let's go to the questions that you didn't read that you're supposed to be prepared for.
Yeah, it's
Getting flies, hitting the head. Oh,
it's on the top of my head.
But team cultures we went through, training techniques. When you're at SMU, do you want privates too? I mean, how do you go through that with yourself? Practice is what? How long do you get yourself? Do you do private requests every week?
I like doing private lessons personally, because then it's like you are one-on-one, obviously, and you get to focus on like a specific thing, and then you get to bring that specific thing to a group setting. But sometimes it's hard to just like, when you're with so many other people, it's hard to like dial in on one specific thing. And let's say it's a technique change, then the first few balls you hit are going to be good. So you don't want that to be in a team practice. So I do like privates, but they weren't mandatory for us, but they were generally scheduled. Like, I usually would have like at least one a week, maybe 2.
And is it morning before practice, after practice?
It depends.
It depends?
Depends on your like class schedule.
Okay. I'm looking at your questions. Short-term, long-term goals. We got any in your head?
For the season?
Yeah.
I guess short-term would probably just be like keep playing the game that I've been focusing on this summer and trying to play as high up in the lineup as possible. Long-term, I mean,
get a job after school.
Yeah, but in terms of like college, like all of colleges within the next 3 years, probably like become an All-American of some sort. Maybe doubles is probably more likely, but I don't know. Singles can happen.
I'll give you the coach's thing. Whatever you say you're going to do, you will.
Okay, so singles
Shoot
and
for
doubles.
Singles, and then if you get doubles, you'll be happy.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, beating Clemson, that's a goal.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's a personal goal.
End of April, for anyone wondering, we play Clemson.
At Clemson.
At Clemson.
Okay. Key figures, and then we'll go over some books. Key figures that have influenced your career. Anybody, do you remember, what's the first tennis match you ever watched? Do you remember?
I remember the first tournament I ever won, and I still have the trophy, and it's like this big, and it's glass, see-through. It's like 3 inches thick, and I was like literally probably like 7 or 8 years old, and there's a picture of me with the trophy above my head like they do at Wimbledon, and I actually remember it so vividly. It was at Center Court Chatham.
And was it 2 out of, well, how long was it? USTA?
I have no idea. It probably was like green dot, like honestly.
Oh my God, green ball.
But then, yeah, like Little Mo, I have good memories from that. Still my biggest trophy to this day, that Little Mo trophy. That's
good stuff. But I was asking you, do you remember watching the first tennis match on TV? What was the first match you watched and saw tennis? Do you remember?
Well, my family and I used to go to the U.S. Open every year.
Okay.
So probably
So you watched
that.
it live?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure I watched it on TV too, but going to the U.S. Open, we went to the women's finals a lot.
Okay.
And it was like the best day of the year for me when I was a little girl because, I don't know, it was like so cool how good they were. But yeah,
Now,
I mean.
Did you end up, now was it something your parents were into, so you liked tennis, or was you like, hey, I want to go to the finals, or were they just loving tennis and you were like along for the ride, say, I like this too?
I think
I'm assuming where the influence
at that
is.
time, like my sister and I both played.
Okay.
And I was like, loved it. Like I thought it was like the great. I mean, I still like it, but like when you're that young, it's like the greatest thing ever.
It's
and
so pure.
Yeah, like I think my parents just wanted to let me experience tennis at like the highest level possible, and obviously, like it's kind of hard to go to Wimbledon or the Australian Open, so it's like the U.S. Open's right here at home, and I think they just wanted to be like. I mean, I was young, like 8, 9 years old. They probably were like, look, like this could be you one day. Just like have high aspirations in life. And but
Good parenting. What player? Any player when you were a kid that's like, I want to be this player? Who'd you look up to?
When I was young, I thought like Azarenka and Wozniacki were really cool.
Okay.
I met Wozniacki actually this year at school.
How'd that go?
Nicest person I've ever met. Her and her husband, like, goals, relationship goals.
Wow.
Yeah, they sat in our locker room and talked to us for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Just like about life. And I'm like, I'm just casually sitting here with Kelly Wozniacki. I'm like, oh my God, like fangirling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, relationship goal, what do you you think they really like it? You can tell they really love each other. Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
like they like compliment each other really well.
They are in public, you know, Caroline.
I know, but
I'm just kidding.
he's like, what was he, like a pro basketball player? Like, that's so cool. Like pro basketball player, pro tennis player. Like that's goals.
It's just like Agassi and Steffi Graf, and the kids don't play anything. I think the kid played baseball.
Oh,
Agassi's
that's
kid.
interesting.
Yeah. But so I asked this question for the older guests, but you may not have anything relative to it. Is there any particular thing, and reading is very difficult books these days for kids your age, any book, tennis-wise, not tennis-wise, coaching-wise, things, anything that, even if it's not, it could be fiction, that you have read that has influenced you tennis-wise? It's probably all videos, it's nothing. Or is it something that just motivates you, self-help, something, anything that you've read?
I haven't read the whole book, to be honest. I'm not a big reader, but the book, what is it called? Atomic Habits?
Oh, yeah. James Clear.
Yeah. Like, I think that's cool. Like, I like books like that, but yeah, you're right. It's a lot of Instagram reels.
Yeah,
and motivational Instagram reels.
My son has it in his bookshelf, and he read like, this just keeps repeating itself. I'm not reading it anymore.
Yeah,
like
it kind of does, but that's okay.
Here comes the serve, so we got to be ready. Make sure. You better return this. I don't want to get hit in the head. Okay, I'll try. Let's see. Live. Double fault. Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. Snap on the wrist. But we covered a lot, but good luck. I hope you have a good year.
I know.
And again, I got to try to get to a match because I'll be in Charleston in September. I don't know where you got to send me your schedule. I'll just check the SMU website. We'll check it and see where you are. But
we have our home invite October 6th.
Okay.
Then we go to TCU.
Okay.
Bunch of stuff. But now that we're in the ACC.
I know it's going to be tough.
But yeah, we travel a lot.
Still the best conference in the country, probably. Yeah.
I think so, personally. But people in the SEC don't agree with that.
I don't know. I think it is.
I'm
just watching. Oh, boy. That's our coaching.
One of my best friends plays tennis at Auburn University in the SEC. So if I say to her, ACC is the best conference, it's not. It's not to her. But that's okay.
My last question is, on social, you've always got comments about how great your backhand is. Is there any reason, did it just happen naturally, or did somebody teach you how to hit it that way? To me, it's super smooth, but you wouldn't teach it that way. Did you just come up with it that way? Just grab it and swing that way?
Yeah. Just came naturally.
Yes, just came naturally to me. When I won that trophy as a 7-year-old, it was just a natural
right then and there. It was in my heart. No. But actually, like I always tell people when they talk about my backhand, I'm like, yeah, like I get it. Like, it comes to me and I don't think.
Yeah.
Like, I just swing. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, my forehand, different story.
Yeah.
But my backhand, I'm like, oh, backhands. Like,
You're okay. I'm just making sure. I'm just watching. I'm like your security guard.
Thank you.
But they said that if you read the Inner Game of Tennis, the book, if you tell somebody or give them a compliment on what they're doing, they'll go right to their head and they'll make a mistake.
Yeah.
So it's that, because you're not thinking. That's the reason.
Yeah. Like, at one point during season, I started thinking about my backhand, and it got so bad.
Yeah.
Like, within a matter of like 15 minutes, I was like, I can't make a backhand. Like, this
Yeah.
has never happened in 10 years of playing tennis. And the next day, I'm like, yeah, just don't think. Oh,
Yeah.
right there it is. Like, it's right there. I can still do it.
It's a
Kinda
great tip.
crazy.
It's a great tip to
Yeah,
end with.
don't think.
Don't think. Please.
Don't think, just
really
do.
on the court. Don't think. It's the worst.
It is
really
the worst
is.
overthinking.
You can think
Don't
about
do it.
decision making, sure, but still in life, try not to think as much. It's a waste of time. Just act, right? The answer's in the actions. Thanks, everybody. It's fun.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Hope you like the podcast. Please share it with your friends, anybody that you know, anybody that's into tennis, anybody that's into bettering themselves. Share it.